Now this is the account of how Marduk was saved and to exile departed, and how the Eker was dismantled and lordship over the lands rearranged. Away from the sun and light, without food or water, Marduk, within the Eker, alive, was entombed. By his imprisonment and punishment, without trial, Sarpanit, his spouse, a wailing raised. To Enki, her father-in-law, she hurried. With the young son Nabu, to him she came. To be among the living, Marduk must be returned. To Enki, Sarpanit said. He sent her to Utu in Nanar, who with Inanna can intercede. Wearing a garment of atonement, to the Lord Marduk give life, she pleaded. Let him humbly life continue. Rulership he will lay aside. Appeased was not Inanna. For the death of my beloved, the instigator must die, Inanna retorted. Ninarsag, the peacemaker, the brothers Enki and Enlil summoned. Punishment to Marduk must come. Death is not warranted. To them she said, let Marduk in exile live. The succession on earth to Ninurta submit. Enlil by her words was pleased and smiled. Ninurta was his son. Of Ninurta she was the mother. If between succession and life the choice is, what can I, a father, say? So did Enki with a heavy heart answer. In my lands widespread is the desolation. Warfare must end. For Dumuzi, I am still mourning. Let Marduk live in exile. If peace is not to be returned and Marduk shall live, binding arrangements must be made. Enlil to Enki said, all facilities that heaven and earth bond to my hands alone must be entrusted. The mastery over the land of the two narrows to another son of yours you must give. The Igigi who Marduk follow, the landing place must give up and abandon. To the land of no return, by no descendant of Ziusudra inhabited, must Marduk in exile go. So did Enlil forcefully declare, to be foremost among the brothers he meant. The hand of fate Enki in his heart acknowledged. Let it so be, with bowed head he said. Ningishzidda alone the Eker innards knows. Let him over its land the master be. After the decisions by the great Anunnaki were announced, Ningishzidda for the rescue they summoned. How Marduk from the blocked and sealed innards to extricate was his challenge. To let free the one who alive is buried, a task beyond conceiving to him they gave. Ningishzidda the Eker's secret designs contemplated, how to circumvent the blockings he planned. Through a chiseled upper opening, Marduk will be rescued. To the leaders he said, at a place which I will show them, a doorway in the stones they will cut. From it upward a twisting passageway they shall bore, a rescue shaft creating. Through hidden hollowings to the Eker's midst they will continue. At the vortex of the hollowings, through the stones they will break through. A doorway to the insides they will blow open, thereby the blockings circumventing. Up the grand gallery they will continue. The 3 stone bars they will raise. The uppermost chamber, Marduk's death prison, they will reach. Anunnaki, by Ningishzidda guided, his outlined plan then followed. With tools that crack the stone, the opening they made, the rescue shaft they fashioned. The insides of the artifice mount they reached. An exit they blew open. Circumventing the 3 blocking stones, the uppermost chamber they reached. On a small platform, the portcullises they raised. Marduk fainted. They rescued. Carefully through the twisting shaft, they the Lord lowered. To fresh air they him brought. Outside, Sarpanit and Nabu, spouse and father, were awaiting. A joyful reunion it was. When to Marduk, his father Enki, the terms of release conveyed, Marduk was enraged. I would rather die than my birthright forfeit, he shouted. Sarpanit into his arms, Nabu thrust. We are part of your future, she softly said. Marduk was angered. Marduk was humbled. To fate I yield, he inaudibly said. With Sarpanit and Nabu, to a land of no return he departed. To a place where horned beasts are hunted, with wife and son he went. After Marduk had departed, Ninurta, the Ekur, through the shaft re-entered. Through a horizontal corridor to the Ekur's vulva he went. In its east wall, in a niche artfully fashioned, the destiny stone, a red radiance, was emitting. Its power to kill me grabs. With a killing tracking, it me seizes, Ninurta inside the chamber cried. Take it away, to obliteration destroy it. To his lieutenants, Ninurta shouted. Retracting his steps through the grand gallery to the topmost chamber, Ninurta went. In a hollowed-out chest, the heart of the Ekur pulsated. Its net force by 5 compartments was enhanced. With his baton, Ninurta the stone chest struck. With a resonating sound it responded. Its gug stone that directions determined, Ninurta ordered to be taken out to a place of his choice carried. Coming down the grand gallery, Ninurta the 27 pairs of Nibiru crystals examined. Many in his fight with Marduk were damaged. Some, the struggle intact, survived. To remove the whole ones from their grooves, Ninurta ordered. The others with his beam he pulverized. Outside the house, which is like a mountain, is Ninurta in his black bird soared. To the apex stone his attention he turned. His enemy's epitome it represented. With his weapons he took it loose. To the ground in pieces it toppled. By this the fear of Marduk is forever ended, Ninurta victoriously declared. On the battleground the assembled Anunnaki the praise of Ninurta announced. Like Anu you are made, to their hero and leader they shouted. To replace the incapacitated beacon, a mount near the place of celestial chariots was chosen. Within its innards the salvaged crystals were rearranged. Upon its peak the gug stone, the stone of directing, was installed. Mount Mashu, Mount of the Supreme Celestial Bark, the mount was called. At that time Enlil his 3 sons summoned. Ninlil and Ninursag also attended. Commands over olden lands to confirm, lordships over new lands to assign, they met. To Ninurta, who Anzu and Marduk had vanquished, let the Enlilship powers be granted. In all the lands his father's surrogate to be. Of the landing place in the Cedar Mountains, lordship to Ishtar was granted. To his domain northward thereof was the landing place joined. The lands south and east thereof, where the Igigi and their offspring had spread, to Nanar as an everlasting endowment were given, by his descendants and followers to keep and to hold. The peninsula wherein the place of the chariots was, in Nanar's lands was included. Utu, as commander of the place and of the navel of the earth, was confirmed. In the land of the 2 Narrows, as agreed, Enki to Ningishzidda the lordship did assign. To that none of Enki's other sons objected. To that Inanna was opposed. To the heritage of Dumuzi, her deceased bridegroom, did Inanna claim lay. A dominion of her own, she of Enki and Enlil demanded. How Inanna's demands to satisfy the leaders contemplated, about the lands and the peoples of the great Anunnaki who the fates' decree counsel took. Regarding the earth and its resettling, words with Anu they exchanged. From the time of the deluge, the great calamity, almost 2 shars have passed. The earthlings have proliferated. From mountain lands to dried lower lands they went. Of civilized mankind, by Ziusudra there were descendants. With Anunnaki seed they were intermixed. Offspring of Ajiji who intermarried roamed about. In the distant lands Cain's kinfolk survived. Few and lofty were the Anunnaki who from Nibiru had come. Few were their perfect descendants. How settlements for themselves and for the earthlings to establish the great Anunnaki considered. How over mankind lofty to remain, how to make the many, the few, obey and serve. About all that, about the future, the leaders with Anu words exchanged. To come to earth one more time, Anu decided, with Antu his spouse, he wished to come.